Okay, perfect. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining our chat tonight. Um, it's just going to be a kind of brief presentation on who is Optiver really. So we'll start off by kind of going through who we are, like what we do. We'll talk about some of the opportunities here at Optiver, our culture, and then there'll be time for questions at the end. So I'll just get started by giving you an introduction to this voice that's kind of behind the screen here. Yeah, so my name's Claire. I sit within the campus recruitment team. I actually mainly look after our trading risk and research roles, but helping out a little bit with kind of software dev as well. So I'll do my best to answer your questions there. I've been with Optiver for about a year and a half now. Actually, I'm originally, as you can kind of guess, from the UK. I studied economics back there, worked for kind of corporate firms. And then when I moved across to Australia, joined Optiver, meant to be just for short term, and then got kind of addicted to the culture and the kind of infectious work that we're doing here. You'll see I'm joined on the call by Vicky.
Hey, so I'm Vicky. I started as a graduate in 2019, and before that I studied electrical engineering at QUT. So I actually started as a software developer grad, but as part of my rotation program, I moved into the FPGA development team and have been there ever since.
Sweet. So what is Optiver? I think when people Google Optiver, they might see that we're a trading firm and be like, oh, like, what is that? And I think the misconception that people often have is that we have these kind of old school trading pits. So like everyone's shouting it over each other, kind of buy and sell, really that like aggressive nature, thinking about like Wolf of Wall Street, what you see kind of on TV and like investment banks, people in suits, like the stuffiness. Whereas it's just not like that here, right? Like time has kind of moved on, and also we're a kind of really forward-thinking company. So the reality is that our trades are done mostly over the screen. We're a global market maker. So what does that mean? It means that we provide a price to the market for anyone who wants to buy and sell. For that reason, we provide liquidity. So we're really making the market more efficient for anyone that wants to participate. Here we have a real kind of blend of technology, quant problem solving, finance, and people are just really kind of passionate about what they do. We don't have clients, so we're not acting on behalf of anyone. We use our own capital, and for that reason, we kind of reap the rewards ourselves and are able to take a little bit more risk. So yeah, there's definitely like expectation be reality. And so just to clear that off first, as I said before, we're a global company. It might be surprising to people that here in the Sydney office, we don't actually trade the Australian markets. So we actually focus on the Asia Pacific markets. However, we have offices globally. So namely Chicago, Shanghai, Hong Kong, London are kind of headquarters that started in Amsterdam. And when you join Optiver, you'll kind of realize that although we act locally, so everything that we do kind of in the best interest of our market. We think globally. So if there's any kind of anyone who wants to maybe try another office or is keen on the kind of the problems that the different locations look at, then that's definitely strongly encouraged here too. And we think globally, I guess, in our expansion. So we really have some kind of high expectations and goals in the coming years, and we're just kind of growing rapidly in that sense too. I know that this is primarily a kind of computing focused society, but people might be surprised to hear that they could actually get into some roles out with the kind of traditional ones that you might expect at Optiver. So we have roles firstly among trading, kind of research and risk. So our traders are really have a kind of breadth of skills. but they're the ones who are kind of making those decisions on based on the market knowledge that they have. So trying to find those kind of opportunities in the market, identifying kind of trends. However, we use auto traders. So for most of our trading now. So we also have an element of, like back testing and trying out our theories and really strategizing, which is a little bit different to kind of finger on the pulse type trading that you might expect. The research team are there to kind of assist in everything that goes into the trading strategies. So looking really at our pricing models, looking at our execution, our speed, the success of our trades, seeing what could be improved or things that we might have missed, and really kind of acting, I guess, in that advisory role. And that's similar to the risk department. So they're the kind of experts, I guess, on the market. So knowing how to mitigate risks within trading, knowing kind of and being really up to speed with all your macroeconomics. So if any of those areas kind of speak to you, or you want to look a little bit more into them, kind of look at the job descriptions and see, because we actually take we take candidates from a whole kind of spectrum of backgrounds. So definitely don't be discouraged to apply if you think something here is kind of interesting to you.
Cool. So I guess I'll run through the tech roles at Optiver. So tech is a really big part of what we do. Basically, we wouldn't be able to trade anything if we didn't have tech, because we, basically do everything directly with the exchanges. We do very little trading like over the phone. So most of our roles are in software development. So you could be working on a bunch of different systems, new features, for example, I don't know, like new pricing model, putting that into code, working with the researchers, or maybe working with trading for new features that they want. And the thing about working at Optiver is when you're in such a high-paced, fast-paced environment, we are always looking to make improvements and iterate on what we've already got. So we're always looking to improve how fast we send our orders, how fast our applications run, how reliable they are. So we want to make sure they stay up for the entire day that the market is running, and making sure that we can scale these processes as well. So most of our work is done in C++ because it's very latency sensitive, but we do have some C# to do stuff like GUIs for the trading user interfaces, and Python for like data analysis, that kind of thing. So production engineering is essentially what we call what you may know as like systems reliability engineering. And that's just making sure that everything is running smoothly throughout the trading day, making sure things are working as expected, and making sure that we're always like looking for ways to make sure things can be more reliable in our systems. And last role is FPGA developers. That's what I work on. So FPGAs are field programmable gate arrays. So it's essentially working on hardware development for our very latency critical trading systems. So yeah, we're always working on, I guess, new ways that we can trade faster and looking at new devices, that kind of thing. So most of that is done in VHDL and System Verilog.
Cool. Thanks, Becky.
So yeah, a day in the life of a developer kind of varies between day to day quite a bit. So what's different at Optiver, even as a grad and an intern, you actually get to be a part of the whole life cycle of your project. So that includes the planning stage, development stage, testing, verification, and also putting that into production. So it's not like other companies where when you're a software developer, you may work on this one feature, which is, some random Jira task assigned to you. And then once you've finished developing it, you can pass it on to the QA team or the testing team to handle the rest of it. So because you're involved in the whole life cycle of your project, your every day could be different. You could be working on designing one day, and then the next day you could be working on writing lots of code. Another day you could be sorting out how you're going to deploy it, like what's the plan for getting this into production without taking down the rest of the stack, etc. And it also means that you're working closely with your stakeholders, who are all in-house because we don't have clients. So your stakeholders are essentially usually trading, who just sit downstairs, or maybe the researching team who've got this new strategy they want you to implement. So yeah, and then perhaps you've wrote out your feature, and then next day you may be looking at analyzing how well it's performing, if there's any more improvements you want to make, etc. So basically, yeah, you get a lot of variety of work as a developer. You're not doing the same thing every single day. But every single day does start with breakfast. So we get free breakfast and lunch in the office, and coffee. So I usually start my day with that. And depending on your team, you may have a stand-up maybe every day or maybe once a week as well.
Oh. Are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah, so thanks, Vicky. I think that was a really kind of a good overview of the tech side. Just in general then, the culture that we're really proud of here at Optiver. So we call ourselves high performing, right? It's a challenging environment, it's fast paced. And I always kind of say, I guess because I've come from a corporate background, that the difference there in terms of the high performing is that it's high performing for a condensed period of time. So it's extremely fast paced here and pretty dynamic, the things that you work on, but it's not like a long slog. So you're not here at 12 p.m. Kind of working on a project. When you're here, you're just you're really kind of I guess given your all, but that's not expected to be sustained. So if you have nighttime plans, then that's encouraged to go out and have a life as well. They say that we're externally competitive and internally collaborative. I think what that means, well, for me personally, is that you're not kind of pigeonholed into a particular role. So you're really given the responsibility in your role for that reason, and your skill sets are kind of honed in on and where you want to go and where you see yourself. And for that reason, you're not competing with the person next to you, for example, for that next promotion. It's just not like that. Here, we don't have clients, so it doesn't really matter what job titles people are called. We just really we're here for the common goal and to do as well as we can and to be as successful as we can. We appreciate that the person next to you has a completely unique set of skills and what they can bring. And we really just support each other and really are kind of hyping each other up to be the best that we can. But in saying that, we're externally competitive. So yeah, we're definitely the best at what we do, and we're quite proud of that. And saying that, we, as I said, you have great kind of autonomy in your work. And I think Vicky even mentioned that you're not, for example, given a ticket or given a responsibility, and then once you complete that, it moves on somewhere else. You're the kind of main holder of your project, and you're given that responsibility, and you can collaborate with stakeholders internally on really what that project looks like and the impact that it can make. And that's something that's really kind of interesting here, that you and quite unique. And of course there's a sense of social community and company here. So even though we are a global company, when you come to work, everyone, and as Becky said, you go out for breakfast in the morning, you can speak to everyone. Everyone's extremely kind of down to earth here. So there's just not the stuffiness element whatsoever. I think quite a lot of people already know about Optiver, that we don't have a hierarchy. So we have a completely kind of flat structure, and in that way you can just rock up to whoever's desk you like to speak to. We kind of don't put in like loads of meetings or have to wait weeks to speak to people of a certain level. It's just not like that either. You really kind of can go with your ideas, and you're supported to come with your ideas. So it really creates this like a real buzz kind of atmosphere where everyone's collaborating to just kind of do the best that they can, and really have like autonomy in their work too. And I think if those are the types of things you want in an environment, then we definitely kind of love to hear from you, because it isn't for everyone. But I think that if you love it, like you really love it. So yeah. Yeah, so the best part that people always love to hear about is what's in it for you. So when you sign the dotted line, what can you expect? So kind of two folds of the learning and development. So we have a really kind of comprehensive, renowned training program, and we have dedicated heads of education that take that. It's 10 weeks for the internship and 12 weeks for the grad program. But really it's quite a steep kind of learning curve. So you start just learning, theory about like what we do, kind of getting used to kind of get your head around trading in the markets. You're probably not from a finance background, but we kind of give you all of the training that you need to be successful. You then learn the technical skills. You work on some projects across kind of different markets and departments, and you'll have the opportunity to present to some people and gain feedback. And I think everything that we do in the program has a purpose. So it's definitely not the case that you'll just be like sat in the corner and given a task and then we'll check in you in a couple of weeks. It just isn't like, it's not like that. It's really wanting both like you to make an impact, but for us to support you to do that as well. And there'll be regular kind of check-ins with our heads of education just on how you're going and how you can improve, so that you finish, for example, the internship really a kind of well-rounded individual who's learned a lot, like technically, but also kind of learned a lot about themselves. And in that sense as well, just in general, we have like an L&D department. So out with the technical skills that are required for the job, just really like personal development. So they run like a number of different classes that you can get involved in, that are super like valuable. And for example, if you want to do like an Excel course or whatever, like outside of Optiver, then that's encouraged too. It's just anything that you think will kind of develop yourself in whatever way or path that you want to go is encouraged. In saying that, it's a challenging job. The markets, as everyone knows, are super fast paced, and you never know what the next day is going to bring. You never know what Trump's about to tweet, or what's going to what's going to kind of happen overnight. So in saying that, we respond quickly to things that have happened, and we need to be kind of ready and kind of waiting for what might happen. So it's not going to be a case of like the usual kind of 9 to 5, like same job for a few years. Like you can always expect something exciting here to be happening, and when those things do happen, you'll get a total kind of buzz about the office when something's just, I guess, happened to the market and we all hear about it. It's really exciting too. I went over the culture I think before. It's in terms of just like the basic stuff. So we are an informal environment, as you can see. Like we kind of pass on the suits. It's just not for us. We prefer kind of that informal culture. We're big on teamwork, so collaboration. It's not the case where if you're about a certain level, you, for example, can't give an idea, or you shouldn't be at a certain meeting, or you shouldn't be collaborating in a certain team. Everyone here just comes together. If you've been here 2 days or you've been here 3 years. Like, we want to hear your idea and want to hear what kind of you have to give. The stuff everyone loves to hear about, like, they ask me at the end of interviews, and I always kind of rhyme off these things about the free breakfast, as Vicky said, and our in-house barista, who's back in business today, actually, after COVID, and it's been incredible. We have in-house chefs, which are amazing. We have an annual trip, and various different like social events throughout the year, which are always a good time. In terms of our area upstairs, there's some kind of pictures of it there. It's a real place for people to kind of like chill out, relax, get to know each other. So there, no matter what time of day you go up there, there's someone playing ping pong, which is pretty impressive. There's different kind of tournaments that go on. There's people gaming. So it's, I guess in that sense, it's kind of work hard, play hard, which is good too, and I think, important. In terms of like health and well-being, I think I mentioned before that you're not expected to be here really long hours. So when you are here, we expect you to give up your all. But if you have certain commitments, for example, a society that you really, that you're a part of, that you want to go and do things for, or like a sports team or whatever, then you can guarantee that you will be out in the office in time to go and do that. I think that's kind of one of the key areas too. We do kind of other wellness perks. For example, we have massages on a Wednesday, which are really nice. And we have like different kind of apps for wellness too. So it's really getting that balance like is important to us. Yeah, so these are our current opportunities. You'll see that they have, so our interns will start in November this year, right through 10 or 12 weeks, depending if you're going to do a research or tech internship, 10 weeks for training. The interns are 100K pro rata, all internships. Then our grad roles have a really generous package of 200K for the first year. And that's, applied through all of our roles. People always ask me, can international students apply? Yes, as long as you're currently studying in Australia, then international students are welcome. And I just wanted to give a couple of quick tips from myself, just for when I kind of come to, so you've heard all these great things about Optiver and you're going to apply, but you're not sure like what you should put in, what you shouldn't put in, like how to make your application stand out. What I will say first off is to really, as much as you might have heard this a million times before, but like really look at the job description, right? So like, what is it that we're looking for? And like, why is it that you saw that job description and you thought, yeah, this is the one for me? And if you're able to kind of outline that, then that makes it really, really easy for me to say, okay, this person has understood the role and understood their motivations, and is able to kind of, I guess, outline them, and it's easy for me to tick it off almost. So just look at the part, I think it's called like who you are, and if you're able to give some examples to those, then that's great. The other thing is that people kind of sometimes leave things out of their CV, and then you'll be like talking to them in the interview and they write off all these amazing things that they've done. They're like, oh, I didn't think it was relevant or whatever. Like, just chuck it all in your CV. Like, you don't need to write loads about it. Like, there doesn't need to be kind of big paragraphs on whatever you've done. But say you've taken part in a competition, you've done a little kind of research side project, or there's some interesting hobbies that you have, like chuck them all in, because I think that helps me to get a kind of fuller picture of who you are. And I think as well, like as you go through the process, when it comes to actually interviewing, so doing the phone screen or the Zoom interview or whatever it might be, like we're really wanting to get the best out of you. So there's absolutely no need to be nervous. So just come and really kind of present yourself as how you are. We're really just interested to hear about your experience and your motivations, and we're not here to trick you. We just are really trying to get the best out of you. And also come prepared with some good questions at the end. So it's always good for us to have like a bit of a discussion at the end, and it really shows me that you've, for one, taken the time to kind of think of a couple of good questions, and two, that you have a real interest in the role. So that always makes candidates stick out a little bit more. In general, across all of our roles, things that we look for are a kind of passion for, it doesn't necessarily need to be finance, but it needs to be, for example, technology, and a real drive to succeed. So where have you really pushed yourself, or where have you kind of had a passion that you've been driven about, and being able to talk to us about that? And it doesn't actually have to be, for example, something technical or in trading. It doesn't need to be the markets or your own trading or whatever. It could be anything. So a sport or anything that you're passionate about. We like to see that you have kind of extracurriculars that you enjoy doing, and to kind of talk about those. We don't expect you to be experts in your area at this point, so that's a bit of a misconception too. And in general as well, just to have that growth mindset. So really wanting to improve yourself, like having some strong reflections on things that you've done, and maybe feedback that you've had before, or times where you've really kind of had some good reflections on experiences. Like that's what we love to see as well. It just shows a really kind of mature, good growth mindset. So as you make it through the process, you'll see those themes coming up time and time again, and they're kind of classic Optiver themes. And it's just good to be able to talk to those. I think that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions for Vicky or I while we have you here?
So there's one in the chat. Do you only look at penultimate students, or will you accept lower years?
No, so we don't only look at penultimate year students. We accept pre-pen as well for internships. Yep, so you can apply right from the get-go pretty much. That's actually just new this year. So yeah, we've opened that this year. I'll give some time for some questions to come through. Is it quiet? Quiet bunch? Okay. Cool. Well, if there's anything, any kind of burning questions that you have, and you're sitting at home and you just need a minute to kind of reflect and take it all in, that's completely fine too. We'll be to hand, or I'll be to hand. Oh, we have some more. Okay, great. Vicky, Vicky, do you want to take what you enjoy most about Optiver?
What I enjoy most. So I feel like there's just with so much, like, in such a fast-paced environment and highly competitive against our competitors, like we're always thinking about all these design restraints. Like we're not just writing code that works. There's a lot of technical challenges that comes with it. Like I always have to think about, oh God, if I add, even just like an extra few nanoseconds, like that can make such a big difference in our success. So yeah, just having like all these technical challenges really makes the work more interesting. So I'm not just like, it's so easy to just write code that works and does the job. Um, so that's one thing I really like about the work. And I also really like working with the people that I work with, because like people are really supportive. You have a lot of autonomy when you're working on your projects and you're given a lot of responsibility. So people trust you to make good design decisions, that kind of thing. But if you need help, like people aren't just going to give you, a one-word answer, that kind of thing. People are actually willing to sit down with you, let you kind of word vomit all your thoughts on the problem. And they'll like kind of like, you know, be like there to kind of run you through the whole problem, anything you might need help with. And that really helps a lot with, because you might not realize that you're asking the wrong question. So people are really supportive and really great to work with here.
Oh, yeah, likewise, like I feel the same. It's for me, it's two things. Like it's the responsibility and my work. So I can only compare it to where I worked before, and just like you're just not given like a list of responsibilities, and that is what you have to stick to, and like please don't deviate from these responsibilities. Like here is a lot more like, well, like what do you enjoy doing, like what's your skill set and where do you kind of see yourself. It's a lot more kind of tailored, and it allows you to really take your career where you want to take it. I think that's completely kind of unique to Optiver. And then as Vicky said, like the people are just amazing here. Like everyone is just super friendly and super open to helping you. So yeah, I would agree with that. There's a question around working rights. Yes, for grads, we take the 485. Yep, so you can apply if you're an international student. Sorry, probably should have clarified that for both interns and grads. You can apply if you're an international student, as long as you're currently studying in Australia. So that's the one thing. You can't be an international student anywhere else. Are there options for interns to go into more data focused roles? Yes. Um, Data focused, I'm not too sure what specifically you mean there, but I guess maybe our kind of research pathways where we really look at kind of data science. And if you're a quantitative thinker, then you're maybe you're more aligned to something like trading or research. Actually, there's a lot of similarities between or there's I guess like a spectrum of skill sets between like research all the way through to trading all the way through to software dev. So it's sometimes the case that you could apply to one role here and we're actually like, oh wait, actually you would maybe fit somewhere else. So just kind of, I guess, apply for the roles that are most appealing to you, and we can help you through the process as to really where you should go or where you could go. Does it ever get overwhelming? Vicky, do you want to answer if it ever gets overwhelming?
I mean, sometimes, like, yeah, if you are nearing like a project milestone, it can get, a bit stressful, but it's not like in the sense that, people are demanding a certain uh like thing from you. It's not like you have external clients and you've, committed to this particular deadline. And so they expect it. Otherwise, you've got to, pay a lot more money or that kind of thing. So there isn't any kind of stress in that sense. So most project deadlines are actually not real deadlines. So they're kind of like your project estimates that you set by yourself. So, before you start a project, you'll get asked like, oh, how much time do you think you'll need to do this? What other resources or assistance do you need? So you get to control that, and as long as you communicate to your stakeholders that project's running late because XYZ, then it's usually fine. Like the only real deadlines that we have in tech is like if we have, say, an exchange upgrade, and we need to update our protocol or something like that, then yeah, that might have a strict deadline, but we usually know that well in advance. So I guess if it's overwhelming, it's usually kind of self-imposed, I guess. Like you have the opportunity to set your own deadlines, set your own, pace, and, communicate to everyone on what you're working on, I guess.
So, how important is innovation at Optiver? Yeah, it's really important, right? So we have like solid foundations, but we're constantly trying to improve and get better and improve our systems. I think that when you work in the markets, like you can't be complacent. You have to be kind of at the forefront. And if we want to really expand and to like maintain our status as the best at what we do, like we have to constantly be innovating, and whether that be each department that looks kind of different, but I would say yeah, definitely we're forward thinking, and we're innovators here. Is that all of the questions, do you think? Is there anything else before we go? Sweet, perfect. Well, I just wanted to again reiterate my thanks to everyone so much for taking the time to tune in, taking the time out of your night. I hope it's been informative. But if there's anything that I haven't covered, or there's anything that you think tonight, like, oh, I really wish that I'd asked like Claire or Vicky that question, just email us in. So our email is careers@optiver.com.au, and we'll be able to kind of clarify some things for you. But apart from that, we really look forward to seeing your application.